All right, so let's talk about the spine. So this is the spinal column here, and it's broken up into three sections. So this section up here is called the cervical spine. That's what makes up your neck. And then this portion here is the thoracic spine. That's what makes up your upper to mid back. And then your low back is called the lumbar spine. You need to know how many bones we find in each section. So in the cervical spine, we find 7. In the thoracic spine, there are 12. And then in the lumbar spine, there are 5. You can remember this by this little helpful memory trick. You eat breakfast at 7 a.m., so there are 7 in the cervical spine. You eat lunch at 12, there are 12 in the thoracic spine, and then you eat dinner at 5. There are 5 in the lumbar spine. Now, the spinal column is made up of individual bones called vertebrae. So this is a single bone from the spine. This is coming from the thoracic spine. And when we put them all together like this, they're going to form some canals and holes. So the vertebral canal runs all the way down the length of the vertebral column, and that is where you find the spinal cord. So this hole here, the vertebral foramen, we find a vertebral foramen in each one of these vertebrae, and then when we stack them all on top of each other, they create the vertebral canal, which is where the spinal cord is. On the side of the spine, turn our skeleton a little bit here, we find some holes where the nerves are exiting. So you can see right here and here and here, those nerves are exiting out of little holes. Those are called the intervertebral foramen, or IVF spaces for short. So those are formed when we put those vertebrae together, stack them on top of each other. We get these little holes here that are called the intervertebral foramen, and that is where the nerves are exiting off of the spine. So the vertebral canal is formed by the vertebral foramen. Inside of the canal, we find the spinal cord. The place where the nerves are exiting, they're exiting out of the intervertebral foramen, the IVF spaces. At the very bottom of the spine, this is the sacrum here. And then attached to the sacrum, this is the coccyx bone. So this is what people refer to when they say tailbone. So you have coccyx and sacrum. Now we're gonna look at each of these bones separately. So each section of the spine has some unique characteristics to it. So you will need to be able to tell when you're looking at, if I were to throw one of these on a table, you could tell me what section of the spine it comes from. So we're gonna look at that next.